Today I thought I'd try something different. Instead of going to visit a Neolithic or Bronze Age site like I usually do on this channel, I'm going somewhere a little different. Although if you do like that sort of stuff, please do subscribe. To celebrate the new Amazon show, The Rings of Power, I'm off somewhere where I grew up that shares a history with Tolkien. At the age of 22, on the 24th of September 1914, Tolkien wrote the first draft of his poem, The Voyage of Éarendel, the Evening Star. The poem would become the start of his mythology, the starting point of the extensive background to the Lord of the Rings legendarium, the birthplace of Middle-earth. He wrote it here, in Gedling, a small town in Nottingham, while visiting his Aunt Jane on her farm after returning from a holiday in Cornwall. The Phoenix farm is long gone. The house no longer stands, having since been demolished in 1954. I had always thought that the house stood close to the rubbish dump site, now closed down itself, but it might have been further over the hill, closer to the Phoenix pub. Here is a picture of the building that Tolkien drew himself. His aunt, Jane Neve, changed the name from Church Farm to Phoenix Farm after buying the property at auction in 1911. Tolkien loved the farm and visited semi-regularly. There are lots of places in Gedling named after the farm, streets, a pub, and even a church. My grandparents were miners who moved to Gedling to work down the pit. My parents were born there, and I lived on Mapley Plain, which backs onto the pit area. Gedling pit bordered the farm property. The first shaft was sunk and coal excavated in 1899. It closed in November 91 due to geological problems. I remember it from when I was a child, a huge hulk on the landscape, until one day it just wasn't there anymore. My parents were shocked. As a young teenager, we hung out down the old site, got into a few of the old buildings, skidded down the grey slag heaps. The site has changed again from then to now. The country park has been opened and a new road serving the posh new estates, built here, ploughed through the middle. Shit has been spread over the slag to encourage new growth. New trees have been planted, spoiling a lot of the view. Me and my friends used to sit here before the trees and the man-made pond. Imagine Gedling being bombed or engulfed in a nuclear explosion. The new country park is nice, but a lot of the spirit of the pit has been lost. There are fences everywhere, and more work on new gash building projects continue. A little of the old site remains behind do not enter signs, although it looks like this, too, is due to be destroyed. Tolkien, too, would have seen the landscape here change, the pit choking out the farmland, strong, soot-black men coming back from under the earth. Many have said it was his inspiration for Mordor and Mount Doom, but that's too simplistic. Tolkien got his inspiration from lots of areas, from the industrial steelworks of the Black Country and his experiences attached to the Lancashire Fusiliers in World War I, where Tolkien saw trench warfare. I remember the cracked earth all over the pit, some fissures as big as 7 or 8 feet deep. When it snowed they would be completely covered over and me and my friends would try and push each other into them. I am convinced that these are where Tolkien got his idea of orcs being born in the earth. Today they have largely been filled in or have been replanted and repurposed as runoffs. I remember one large crack, 7 foot deep, that allowed you to walk under a fence to the reservoir on top of the man-made hill. I wonder if something like this inspired the cracks of Doom. On the train station that Tolkien came in on, long since closed, there is a plaque that commemorates his visit to Gedling and the start of his great works. The plaque directly mentions the poem, The Voyage of Éarendel. Tolkien told friends that whilst working on this poem there was a tremendous opening up of everything for me. I will either leave a link or a copy of the poem in the description below. You don't need to hear me read it to you. Many believe that Tolkien based the wizard Gandalf on his aunt Jane Reed. Jane eventually moved out of the area to a new farm in Dormston. Tolkien continued to visit his aunt and the new farm. The name of the farm? Bag End. If you like this, check out my other videos which are ordinarily about the Neolithic and Bronze Age. You should dig them. In my last video I found a huge chunk of quartz a little way off from a Neolithic passage grave, which I think could have been an offering or decorative rock. It's a pretty cool video, the link's above. If you would like to buy me a pint as a thank you for making this video, then there's a link in the description. If not, no worries, but please do like, comment or subscribe. Keep adventuring, and fare thee well over the misty mountains cold. Cheers.